This is Cheo Hodari Coker, the creator, showrunner, and executive producer of Marvel's Luke Cage. You're listening to TV Podcast Industries, formerly known as the Defenders TV Podcast.
Hello, fellow Academy alumni. We're here for a feedback episode. We were trying to work out how to do this as we've been podcasting a little bit ahead of time. And your feedback for the episodes have been coming in at kind of different times as we've been going. So what we've decided to do is do a feedback episode halfway through the season and then a final feedback episode after the season's over. So what we're going to talk about in this episode is the feedback on episodes 1 to 5 that we've received so far. I'm one of your hosts, Derek, if you don't remember.
I'm also one of your hosts, Chris, in case you don't remember.
And triangulating ourselves, I am one of your other hosts, John.
Triangulate. I like it. A little nautical term there, probably.
I suppose.
Or military term, maybe.
Scientific.
Yeah, okay. Let's do that.
We'll leave with that. Mathematics.
GPS.
Yes. So we are calling this section, because it's the Umbrella Academy and there's lots of time travel, we're going to call this section the Messages from the Past. You send us your messages on what you thought about every episode of the season, and we'll talk about them on these episodes, our feedback episodes. If you want to send in any thoughts about the rest of the season from episode 5 all the way to the end, or any episodes that you've watched, email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or pop into our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries, and you can pop into any of the spoiler posts that we have there for each of the episodes of Umbrella Academy and leave your thoughts on there.
Yeah, and if you want to hear your voice with your thoughts on the podcast, you can record a clip of yourself on your phone and email it to us at the same email address, feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, or go over to our website at tvpodcastindustries.com and you can record up to 90 seconds of your thoughts about the week's episode. Just go to the tab on the right-hand side of the screen and leave your thoughts there in audio for us to replay on this feedback episode with your message from the past.
There you go. As I said, we'll do the next feedback episode after we've released the last episode, and we'll also announce the winner of our pub quiz that we've been doing on each individual episode that we've discussed. But if you want to get the full list of questions for our pub quiz, you can also go over to tvpodcastindustries.com/UA pub quiz, and all the questions will pop up there as we release the episodes. Let's kick off our feedback with a voicemail from the wonderful Steve Brown.
Hey guys, it's Steve, and I just finished watching episode 1 of the Umbrella Academy season 2, and wow, quite an opening. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how these stories play out when our main characters come back together. And that's opening scene, or that scene where when Five arrives in 1963 and he sees all of them fighting with the U.S. forces, that's going to be interesting to see if that plays out again, or if number 5's presence now earlier in the timeline stops all that from happening. You know, it really looked like they had been with the U.S. government for a while at that point, but I guess they hadn't. So, I haven't listened to y'all's podcast over episode 1 yet. I will be doing that here soon. And I really appreciate you guys. Again, your podcast is great, and I love sending in the voicemails to you. I think I'm going to be a little behind because it looks like you guys got some early access to some of the episodes, I guess, and you're going to be podcasting, combining some episodes together and stuff. But I'm only going to be doing 1 episode a week, so you might hear from me sporadically instead of every podcast. Okay, love the pub quiz questions. Keep them coming. And again, can't wait to hear it. Talk to you later.
Thanks so much, Steve. We love your feedback as well. We love hearing your voicemails on the podcast. If you want to hear Steve's thoughts about every individual episode of the show, he's covering them over on Panels to Pixels, his podcast as well. I've heard the first episode, really good chats over there about the show. Always good to get more perspectives on a show like this. That's really interesting, really good fun. We're a couple of episodes in to the show, but yeah, I think the intention of what was shown in that first episode is that, yeah, it seems like they all come together in like 10, 15 days really and start working for the government and have this massive apocalyptic moment in that episode, which will hopefully be stopped over the course of the season, right? That's kind of the plan that we're expecting to happen. But it does seem really quick from that opening episode that all of this team would get together, since none of them knew each other. We're 4 or 5 episodes into the show now, and none of them knew where each other were before 5 arrived. So that gave them 10 days to cause the apocalypse, come together and cause the apocalypse. So I suppose it probably does seem very fast, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's going to be, that Avenger style moment is such a significant kind of lodestone for this opening salvo, if you want to call it that. And I think it's going to be interesting to see towards the season finale, do we get a similar, like over the remaining episodes that we have ahead of us, do we get that Avenger style moment? And like, if not, I'm fine. We got an episode 1. That's fine. But I'd love to see, I said, does that Avenger style moment change now that 5's messing with the timey-wimey?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it is a really great opening, and it's a nice way as a refresher to all these characters as well. Just seeing all their skills on offer in that Avengers style opening, and also then just reconnecting with these characters through the course of this first episode is really good. For sure. Yeah. Thanks, Steve, for that. We also got some Facebook feedback, over on our group from Bob Phillips for episode 1. What an opening scene. Perfect reintroduction. And I loved only Diego managing the superhero landing. The refresh into the 60s has a lovely way of reframing each of the characters. They're clearly the same, but the context means we can explore quite different aspects and see how they might have grown in an alternative Petri dish, except Klaus, where we just get more Klausness. Absolutely. But we loved Klaus. His irreverence is refreshing, and it's nice to see that he is effectively blagging his way as a guru across the 60s. And those adventures of him effectively, I suppose, introducing or reaffirming a new philosophy into the world, all through Klaus's own unique view.
Of course.
But I agree, it's having them separate as well in these moments is really interesting, as you say, about how they are slightly different from being all 6 of them in the academy back from the first season. Yeah, thanks,
exactly.
Bob.
Yeah, I really like that idea, the alternative Petri dish. Thanks so much for that, Bob.
Yes, thank you so much, Bob. So, gentlemen, moving on, we have feedback on Facebook for episode 2. First up on the chopping block, we have Doug Green, who says, "Who knew TLC were the keepers of great wisdom?" Well, Doug,
Absolutely.
I will say I did, because don't go chasing those waterfalls. Listen to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to.
They also told us to keep away from Scrubs, didn't they? So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. TLC.
But that
always good.
was bad wisdom, because that was a great TV show.
Yes, it was.
The TV show was very good, yes.
And to be honest, I loved that TLC moment from Klaus. Because, yeah, great idea. Loved it.
Absolutely.
I just want to see what the other little snippets we're going to get.
Exactly.
Is this going to be like, I don't know.
The pearls of wisdom from other songs from the 90s.
Absolutely.
Oh, even early 2000s.
All the, yeah.
Beyonce going, like, put a ring on it type of thing. And you have Klaus doing,
Well, yeah, you might not give away.
Yeah.
Actually, even by your version of that song, you might not give away that was a song.
Yeah, and that could be a little dodgy with Klaus in his sect. A little David Koreshi.
maybe.
Yes, we also got some feedback from Jeff Childs, who says the soundtrack is really good this season. Yep, as I said, TLC, maybe some Beyonce. No, joking aside, the soundtrack is some of the best. We saw it was a real highlight in season 1, and I'm glad to see that they were able to keep up with that. And it's maintained throughout episodes 1 to 5 that we've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, really good soundtrack this season. I'm sure it's going to be played a lot on Spotify. I'm sure it is. Bob Phillips shares his thoughts on episode 2. He says, "Brolly dollies ahoy. I too maintain my purity for this episode and was not driven by a sense of moral purpose, but needing to board a plane. A smoking goldfish, even if it's basically assassination as a service delivered, surely it would be great to have AJ as a boss." Leela is very attractive. Who doesn't appreciate a hot English crazy lady who can hotwire cars and do a pedicure? Brilliant.
The ultimate package.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Bob says, "I'd assumed Vanya was faking her amnesia, and the twist to see it was real was quite a surprise. Great to see her and Sissy just gals being pals before she rushed off to meet Luther, I guess. The spooky umbrella unfactory and the creation of Pogo were beautifully done. Proper creepy 60s psychology experiment stuff. Getting chimps to talk, the Stanford prison experiment maybe? All this building into the weird mix where there's just enough reality to make it scary." So that's kind of the premise of Umbrella Academy, isn't it? It's kind of that idea of just a bit of a curve off reality. Obviously, they've all got superpowers, but they are taking elements of things that went on in the real world and incorporating them into the storyline. Which definitely like. Thanks very much for that, Bob.
Yeah, those creepy psychology experiments. It's so reminiscent of that. And I just loved that in this episode. And, I mean, if we have smoking goldfish managers, next, it will be human mouthed canines and, maybe upside down kind of potato head kind of, people as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of all those weird and wonderful things. It could be dancing Evian babies as well. Who knows?
I will say that it is 2020. Anything is possible. If I walked into the office into early 2021 and I was greeted by a goldfish overlord boss, it's on track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is on track with 2020.
It really is.
I can't believe you suggested dogs with mouths, though, John. That's the thing that freaks you out most.
It does. That's why I suggested it. Yeah.
I don't think you'd be joining their team.
No.
I think you might join AJ like Chris would.
AJ would be great.
There you go. Next piece of feedback. Once again, Steve Brown gives us his thoughts on episode 2 of season 2.
Hey, TV Podcast Industries. This is Steve. This is for Umbrella Academy Season 2, Episode 2, the Frankel footage. And I've only watched it once, and it was actually yesterday morning when I watched it. And so I'm trying to remember, but I want to get all this feedback in to you guys before I start my extra watches for my podcast. And I just really, again, this season is really good. I'm torn because I want so much to go ahead and watch more, but I'm also intrigued enough by the story that I want to kind of slowly digest it and not jump ahead. So, I know that sounds weird, but for me, the big point from this episode that I thought was really, really interesting and really cool is apparently Allison's current husband has no idea about her power. So I wonder, we don't know if she used it on him, but it would seem like maybe he doesn't, that she didn't use her power on him because he doesn't know what that means when she says, "I heard a rumor," and, she started to do that with the cops. And this is so poignant or relevant with what's going on as well today, that it's almost interesting that you figure this had to be written and filmed, sometime last year or early this year, where some of these things, maybe they just could see that it was going to be happening. So entertainment is reflecting society, or society reflecting entertainment, the big question. All right. Can't wait to hear you guys' thoughts. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Steve, for that. Yeah, and for sure, I think we feel like we have hit a number of shows that we've covered that seem to have just had that moment where it seems uncanny that you have it being addressed in a very different way for within the shows that we cover. I think this is the case in point for this episode of Umbrella Academy, and similarly with the City of Angels, Penny Dreadful that we just covered. So there's a lot of this, and of course because it's important to discuss and all these different mediums, it makes it really sort of digestible for people as well to get that different take, just other than from the news. It spreads that message. But yeah, it's really great season, and it's a great episode as well.
Yeah, definitely. And yes, we all always feel everybody's pain when they're watching Netflix shows and trying to keep on board with just one episode a week or one episode at a time even, which is what we always try to do as well. So hopefully you've been enjoying our podcasts about it as well as much as you're enjoying recording your own. John, do you want to take us on with the next bit of feedback on episode 3?
Yes, for episode 3 over on our Facebook group, Jeff Childs says, Ray seems like a really calm, reasonable man, but his reaction to Allison seemed out of character. I understand being confused, maybe even angry and wanting an explanation. He ran away like she was a monster. She just saved his life. Yeah, thanks, Jeff, for that. I must say, I felt a bit the same, that it was a little overreaction. Maybe for different reasons, in that I didn't really get the sense that he had heard her attempt that with the 2 cops that had come to their house earlier on. I think looking back, he certainly did, but still, I think what we see is that he really does kind of like try to keep her then at arm's length. Like she, in the next few episodes, has to go a-looking for him, really, which does seem strange, but I think we get a slight explanation for this in that he feels that she has undermined the group and is potentially an operative either for the FBI or for the local Dallas PD.
I think not knowing that superheroes' powers exist or superpowers exist, trying to piece it together in his mind is, this woman I've been married to for a year just walked up to that guy and said, stop beating him, and he walked away. And there's no superpowers in the world, so he's kind of going, well, she must have a secret that she's hiding.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the kind of way I would say he's piecing it together, does he know her enough? Does he know about her enough? And there's been questions also from the last couple of episodes about all of these brothers that he's been meeting, basically, and all these new family members he's being introduced to. Maybe that's also undercutting his thoughts that he doesn't know this woman that he's been married to for a year.
Yeah.
No, 100%. We also got feedback from Bob Phillips, who on this episode, who said, it's all coming apart at the seams, apart from 5. And Ben, and maybe Vanya. But apart from that, love. Even the incestuous bad attraction of Luther, who does not deserve romantic musical accompaniment, is unraveling the other 4. And I was half expecting Vanya to do the same with Sissy. And Lila, why are all characters with English accents evil? Well, Bob, it is a little known Hollywood fact that in 1962 there was an accord made with the Screenwriters Guild and the Actors Guild to say that if you were to play a supervillain, it had to be with an English accent. And over time that has become and grown to become this beautiful kind of unknown secret pact that if you are going to play an evil character, you're going to be British. Little similar to if you're going to play a drunk, you're going to be Irish, or if you're going to swear a lot, you're going to be Scottish, or it's the fun thing to do with stereotypes and cliches. And dare I even say, for those who listen to any of our other 500 podcasts, could it be a trope?
Yeah, definitely. I blame Bond. I still blame Bond for that, even though Bond is an upper class British guy himself. I think because his bad guys were always British or British actors.
Or Russian.
But usually British actors playing Russian. So,
well, that's true.
With a bad Russian.
I think because of that, I think a lot of American productions go, get a British guy for this role. Get a British woman for this role. Definitely. Thanks so much for that, Bob. Over on our Facebook group, once again, moving on to episode 4, Jeff Childs simply says, where does Luther find shirts that fit him?
little and large stores, I'm assuming.
I don't know whether
Or
that
he
existed
kind
in
of
the
buys
60s.
7 and just kind of starts putting them together.
Yeah, because I'm not too sure whether there was such a size. I mean, now you have what XXXXXXXXL,
Yeah.
I suppose, and it would be no problem today.
Surely some people.
But back then, I think it literally was maybe an extra large at most.
custom made. Maybe that was why he was living in such a small house. All of his money made on someone custom making his shirts for him. Maybe that was it.
That's true. Tailors were more of a thing than they are now.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Bob Phillips on episode 4 says, so Leela really didn't tell all fibs, just omitted finer details, as 5 did with Leela. This abiding attraction and the commission to protect, to serve, are an interesting twist. Are they going to end up with an 8th helper? Is she the echo of Hazel? Really, really good. And OMG, continues Robert, Vanya can bring life, and really love the bluish lipstick of the drowned Harlan. So rare to see the cyanotic touches in drama. The whole of this storyline with her and Sissy is so lovely and such a beautiful reflection of the queer bashing of Klaus and actually Dave in a self-destructive way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that story evolves
Yeah.
with Dave and the changes that will all happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important in the show. You know, they're not, I don't think they're trying to put forth a bad impression, or they're really trying to explore what was going on in the 60s for homosexuals and for anybody in that community at the time. You know, we've been around for centuries, so there are experiences that will have been going on in the 60s to people just like what's going on here with Vanya and with Dave and with Sissy and with Klaus. Those experiences have been out there. So it's good that they're telling all of those stories, because that's where the tropes always came in. This is the complaint we've always had watching shows with representation in there. It's always, here's a gay couple in episode 1. By episode 3, one of the partners is dead. And by episode 5, it's a single gay guy taking revenge for the death of his partner. There you go. We have a representation in here, but that's what they've been doing for 20 years of television. So seeing something new here with these characters, at least we have very different stories being told in here. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think bringing it through the lens of the 60s as well, it's that parallel view on homosexuality, on gender, as it is with race. This idea of difference being sort of propagandized as being a threat to people in power in society, and it just tackles it so nicely. And you get that kind of little added dimension with it coming through the lens of the 1960s.
Exactly.
And certainly I suppose with respect to in this case Sissy and Vanya, and with Klaus and Dave, and how that plays out as well in that destructive way.
Exactly. Thanks so much for that, Bob. Thanks everybody for your feedback. 2 other little bits of feedback I thought I should share with everybody from some of the people behind the show. I was talking to Stephen Surgic, the director of episode 2 and 3 of Umbrella Academy, because I was asking him about that moment that we'd seen with Elliot with the magnifying glass over his mouth and looking a little bit like 12 Monkeys. Stephen responded to me saying, a very subtle visual homage, but apparently not as subtle as I thought.
Nice.
So I was
catch.
right.
You were.
I like it. The reason why I wanted to share that was because we also got a little bit of feedback from the writer of that episode, Jessie McCown, just to show that I'm not always right about things as well. Jessie says, great podcast, guys. 2 quick things. Letterkenny is actually a Canadian show, not an American show, and Chris, not a New Zealand show.
Okay.
And Mamie Pink is named after Mamie Eisenhower, former First Lady of the United States, who loved pink, and it was a very popular colour at the time to paint your bathroom Mamie Pink. So there you go. Some clarification on the things we got wrong for the episode, and a compliment on one thing we got right.
That's good. Yeah, Mamie Pink, I mean, it's just more pink. Like I kind of remember, I can't remember whose house it was, but just like you could get the bath furniture in pink. Like you got it in green and like yellow. Yeah, it was awful.
Oh, because most people is like white there.
Yeah.
Yeah, white everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Classic white.
Clean sheen or whisper white. I recently did my house up, so I have whisper white, gentle blossom white, Arctic white.
Nice.
There is, what was one of the other tests? Pearl white. There's, you know, they say 50 Shades of Grey.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's fine. 50 Shades of Grey, that's kid stuff. There's hundreds of shades of white.
There certainly is. That's definitely, and they couldn't even have eggshell back in the 60s. And they didn't even have white.
No, well,
Just
absolutely.
made me think. Thanks so much for that feedback, Jesse, and the prompted feedback to Stephen. Thanks so much for clarifying that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was great to hear that Derek got something wrong.
Yes, absolutely.
We thought he was infallible.
Oh, nobody thinks that, John. Don't be silly.
I know.
But one final piece of feedback that I'm going to direct at Chris. Final piece of feedback comes from Donald Dennis. Says, are we really going with Brollies as the fan group designation for Umbrella Academy? Moons have been destroyed for less. Really, I'm good with whatever, but only because I like you guys. The reason why I'm directing this at Chris is because I did tell Donald that I'd asked Chris to put up a post before we started recording asking whether we should go Brolly Dollies or whether we should go Academy Alumni. Academy Alumni being my choice, Brolly Dolly being John's choice. And Chris forgot, didn't you, Chris?
Forgot, didn't want to see one of my best friends or either of my best friends unhappy, so decided to split it down the middle and go with both. Yes, no, this is 100% on me, Brolly Alumni, or Dolly Alumni, or whatever we want to designate ourselves. Yeah, I was supposed to have done this just before we started recording, and yeah,
Forgot.
oops. But the good news is we managed to come to a great designation instead. We just used both.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm really sorry, Donald, for Brollies. I was just trying to think of something. I should probably just not think. I was trying to come up with something, kind of unique and so on. But yes, and because I think the first time I tried to do Academy Alumni in the opening, I had to do it about 5 times, and I was like, I'll just say Brollies, okay? That's fine. And then it became Brolly Dollies. We should have just called everyone fellow academics.
Yeah, potentially.
Maybe.
That sounds a bit too serious.
It does a little.
Yeah.
Fellow students, maybe.
Maybe
That would have been good, yeah. But fear not, Donald. We are going, after this show, back to the world of the boys. So we will be landing with boys and girls once again.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for sending in your feedback so far this season. There's still time to send in your thoughts about all of the season, any episode that you've watched. Just mark it with the episode title or pop on to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/TV Podcast Industries. Pop into the spoiler posts in there and send us in your thoughts, and we'll discuss them on our finale, our wrap-up episode, after we've done our coverage of the finale of Umbrella Academy Season 2. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again next time.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for listening. It's great to get all your feedback. Remember, keep watching, keep listening, and keep dollying.
Are you not going to give them a rating for their feedback, John?
1,000,000 dollies and brollies out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah. Or 1,000,000 brollies out of dollies.
Wow, all I've got in my head is Dolly the sheep. I don't know.
Oh no, well, okay, I could say 1,000,000 dolly mixtures out of 5.
Okay, yeah.
Then I bring it on to sweets.
Okay, that's
But that's only for British people.
I don't like
Because
them.
that did not make it across the way to
No,
the States.
and I don't particularly like them.
Oh my god.
So that's not even a nice sweet. So I'm really sorry about that, fellow Academy alumni. Let's just say 1,000,000 Reese cups out of 5.
Oh yeah, like that.
There we go.
Like that.
All right.
We'll talk to you next time for our episode 6 coverage of Umbrella Academy Season 2. Bye.
Bye.